This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Another week, another music video from one of these mainstream artists pushed into the forefront to push Illuminati New World Order agendas. Ariana Grande, somebody who I have exposed for years in this channel, teaming up with the man who calls himself Future, coming together for this song called Every Day, which is nothing short of a pornography. As they continue to push sex out in the open to young children, as they want to sexually degenerate our society, which they're doing well, as lust is a common sin, a common theme in our world. They constantly are showing us people naked on television for the most part in these music videos. We have Rihanna doing videos where she's got no clothes on. And this video called Every Day is just about sex. That's what it's about. But it's also filled with some of the other common Illuminati themes and symbols that we see all the time from people like Ariana Grande, who, of course, came through the quote-unquote Nickelodeon programming, the child programming, like I always point out. People like Grande start off in Nickelodeon or in Disney. They are programmed there at a young age. Then they come to the forefront. They already have a following from a young age. So when Grande was 13, 14, 15, she pulled in an audience around the same age. Then as she gets older and hits 20, her whole act changes. She goes from being nice and cookie cutter to being sexual and promoting sex and drugs and all those things, because she's influencing the audience that is now following her as a false idol. These people believe that they are gods amongst us. That is what they believe. They are the illuminated ones. So Grande here pushing perversion to its maximum. I've seen a lot of videos, I've exposed a lot. There's not many that are as sexually disturbing as this one. I can't even get into great detail or show a lot of the photos, because there's pretty much even partial serious nudity in the video. But this is part of their agenda. Like I talk about all the time, they are creating a society where do what thou wilt is the mindset. Aleister Crowley's mindset, his teaching, the satanic mindset, that we all need to be tolerant of others and allow them to do whatever they want. Soon, sex will be going on out in the open, along with pedophilia and bestiality. All of these things, all barriers are being broken. They are doing everything to defile Scripture, to defile God's law, and to create a society of people who do what they want and self-worship themselves and worship false idols. A society that is godless. That is what they are creating. So this whole video is about sex and infidelity as well. We see people on top of a car windshield having sex pretty aggressively, or at least hinting about they're about to have sex, fondling one another up, making out, really gross stuff. People of all different sizes, races, ages, as you'll see throughout the video, and of course sexes. Because once we get inside of this laundromat where Ariana Grande is inside, we see a homosexual couple, of course, making out all over the laundromat. Behind them you can see the crescent moon, which is another occultic symbol right on the washer and dryers. But what's important to note here is a common thing we see all the time. But it's just me. Remember, folks, it's just me and it's just you out there, the people who are aware and awake and know what's going on. Look at the floor in the laundromat. Oh my goodness. It is the red and white tiles. Now that we all know of the black and white tiles, the red and white tile is no difference. The red is just a different symbolic color. But the duality is what the tiles represent. The black and white represents the esoteric duality of the as above, so below. The color red is obviously symbolic to the Illuminati, to the Freemasons. Red is the color of blood. It is the color used during their themes for blood rituals. They'll wear red robes and red garments and all that stuff. And here, once again, we see the floor. They constantly are showing it, deliberately showing it. The duality of the tiles. We see it in music videos all the time, the black and white tiles. Sometimes you'll see yellow and white, and sometimes you'll see red and white. But it's all the same theme. It all points back to the same people. There's a different meaning behind the different colors of the tile. This, again, is another reference and paying homage to the Freemasons, to the Masonic order, to the people that they worship. And you'll see it all the time, whether it's black and white clothing, black and white tile. They are always representing this and showing this. So as we have homosexuals, of course, as they push the gauge out of making out all over the laundromat, pretty much having sex inside the laundromat. These two women who are pretty much wearing their bras, jumping on top of one another, as Ariana Grande sings every day, every day. promoting this, right? Remember, when they use repetition in the lyrics, that is just part of the brainwashing. Repetition is how it works. Repetition, repetition, repetition. That's why we go to school for so many years. We are put into the school system at such a young age, and we don't leave until we're a lot older, because it's the repetition that creates the conditioning, right? So when we are taught all these lies about history and lies about science and the world, there's a reason that you go from 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you learn the same stuff, and maybe a little bit more as you get older, but you're kind of always referencing the same things, the same lies. It's because repetition is how they program the brain. That's why it's so hard for people out there to break their programming. That's why a lot of people complain and they say, how can I help wake up my parents? How can I help wake up my girlfriend? Well, it's the repetition that has created this wall in their mind, because they've had it beaten into their head. Now, they use lyrics in songs. They use them repetitively to put the spell on people, to indoctrinate people. That's why a lot of songs just constantly repeat themselves, and you sit there and you say, how is this a popular song? Oh, this is awful. And then you hear it 20 times, and it's in your head, and you start singing it. It's repetition. So this is promoting, the lyrics are promoting every day, this repetition, this sexual promiscuity that they want our entire society to have. And I know people, to condone and be a part of, to drop the barriers as far as sex and waiting till marriage and sex, all that stuff's out the window. They want people to openly be fornicating and doing all of these things. And people already are, for the most part. They're not doing it on top of inside of laundromats yet. At least not from the laundromats I've ever been to. And they're not doing it on top of car windshields. But we're getting to the point where this stuff is going to be out in the open. So as we go from the laundromat, we go inside of an office where we see Future. The artist known as Future. I did a video about him and Drake, the song they did together. He's flashing the 666 all the time. But what does Future do right when he gets on screen here, when he gets his camera time? Throws up the devil horns. Right off the bat there, he's going to throw everybody the devil horns, let everyone out there know that he is a part of these secret societies, paying homage to Satan. That is who they worship. They will reference God. They are talking about their God, Satan. That is what they truly believe. We also get him throwing up the peace sign. More satanic worship there. The symbol does not stand for peace. It's another symbol they've indoctrinated people with. And of course, inside the office, what do we see? We see infidelity, right? We see co-workers having sex with each other inside of the office, on top of the Xerox machine, rolling around. They're showing it as much as they can and promoting it as much as they possibly can. Planting seeds, saying you can do it out in the road. You can go to work and have sex with a co-worker. And then we see Ariana Grande on a bus, and what do we see? We see two 70 to 80 to 90-year-old people, which is one of the most disturbing scenes I've ever seen. And I can't really show all the pictures of what goes on. But the old man rips the shirt off the old woman. They're going at it. He actually gets her in a position where she's, bent over in front of him. You actually see the guy in his underwear. So this is promoting this at all different levels. And then we look at our teens out there, and we look at the young kids, and what a sick society we live in. These kids are being raised on this. They're not being raised by the Bible. And when people go, how did my kids turn out like this? What happened? Where did I do wrong? This is where they went wrong. Because they allow their children to be indoctrinated by the school systems, and then they allow them to watch television and listen to this music. And then when people like me talk, they go, oh, these people, this guy sounds like he's from the 1500s talking like that. Because they don't believe in mind control. They don't want to believe in it. They're being indoctrinated with perversion, with lust, with the homosexual agenda, with the transgender agenda, with the do or thou wilt mindset of doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But they preach tolerance because they want us all to be tolerant of these perversions. They want us to be tolerant of the satanic agenda. And sadly, the masses out there have fallen for it because they have become tolerant of these agendas. They have sat back and said, it's no big deal if a guy dresses up as a woman and then he wants to go have sex with a kid or do whatever out in public. Nobody cares. We're talking about bestiality going on in Canada, and it's condoned. Oral sex with animals is not considered sexual assault or bestiality. It's absolutely frightening what's going on, but this is how these people fall into the mind control. That's why it's important to point these things out in these videos, because parents somewhere send their kids to school and they think, well, we raise them good at home, there's no problems, we don't fight. But the kid is around other kids. They're coming home, they're watching MTV or whatever the kids watch now, or actually they're probably doing it in school on their phones, watching these music videos, listening to the lyrics, not realizing that they're being programmed and conditioned not only in the school that they're in, but by the lyrics of these songs, by the messaging in these songs, and they're programming themselves without realizing that all this information is getting stored in their brain. while they're in an alpha state where they're not even realizing it. And then these kids turn out to be total cancers to society. But in the view of the New World Order, those people who are cancers to society are wonderful parts of society. We're the real cancers to society because we follow God's law and we obey God. They don't want people like us talking. They don't want people like us breeding. They don't want people like us out there because they want to make sure that parents continue to be dumbed down and allow their children to be raised by them. And that's what you see. Ariana Grande, like I said, starts off at a young age, indoctrinates young girls. Look at me, I'm 13, 12 years old. I'm singing about cupcakes and milkshakes and going to the IHOP. And everybody's having a great time. High school crushes and homework. Right? The parents see that and they say it's wonderful. These kids become obsessed. That becomes their favorite artist. They grow up with her. She gets into her 20s. Next thing you know, she's walking around naked, wearing a thong, singing about sex, singing about drugs, singing about all different things, showing homosexuality in the videos. That's how it works. That's how mind control works. The parents don't have a clue. And they don't realize, how did my kid get this way? They got this way because you allowed them to be indoctrinated by a system, a satanic system that preaches the do without will mindset, which preaches tolerance for all of these disgusting, disgraceful acts. And it's sad. It really is sad to see what's going on in this world. Ariana Grande, again, just another video by her that promotes these things. Future, once again, involved. You know, this guy is another puppet that they tapped on the shoulder and pushed into the limelight. Probably he'll continue to grow. His fame will continue to grow. Because that's how it works. These people aren't more talented than anybody else. These people are positioned as false idols. A lot of these people are under MK Ultra mind control. Ariana Grande probably being one of them, starting off in Nickelodeon. Just like the others that go through the Disney's mind control system and suffer from trauma-based mind control. But then as they become older, they become handlers, and they become the ones who are pushing this agenda. We see it with Katy Perry, we see it with Miley Cyrus, we see it with Ariana Grande, Britney Spears, you can name them all. They're here to lead people's souls to hell. That's what they're here to do. They're here to distract you, to pervert you, to twist your thoughts, to twist your lusts and your perversions, to incite you to engage in these things, to lead you away from God's law, and to make you think that tolerance is the key to world peace. Tolerance is the key to love and happiness in this world. And it's a gigantic deception. And these false idols are the ones that are pushing it. So this is Ariana Grande with Future. The song's called Every Day. If you want to call it a song, it's more like a softcore porno, really, is what it is. It's absolutely disgraceful. It's disgusting. And it's more Illuminati, New World Order propaganda, mind control, programming for the young kids out there in this world. Pray for these kids that they can snap out of this, because it's the youth out there that is so important. Guys like me, I'm not going to be around forever. It's important for the young kids, 10, 15, to break free from this now. Get in the Bible, get in Scripture. Realize that they've created this false matrix. We need people like that to take on the armor of God and the sword of God, and to be soldiers for Him in the future. That's what's important, because that generation, the generation that right now that are teens and below, they are being indoctrinated like never before with this stuff. And it's coming at them 24 hours a day, because they have their phones, they have iPads everywhere you turn now. It's an indoctrination for them, everywhere. You can't even escape the media these days. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families. This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. As most of you know, Kanye West had some type of breakdown in November. I didn't cover it on this channel. I'm busy talking about Pizzagate and other things that mattered to me. I wanted to cover it today because it is something I did not cover, but it's important to talk about for this standpoint. MK Ultra mind control is real. It's a CIA operation. Okay, it's been covered up. It's there for the public to see if they want to see it and research it, but people are too dumbed down to care. They think that they're in control of everything. They don't believe mind control is real because they're so prideful. But Kanye West, after his breakdown, had what happens to most of these victims of MK Ultra mind control. When they hit a certain age or when something happens, they can reprogram them and wipe the slate clean. Kanye West is now claiming, or his close friends are claiming, that he suffered severe memory loss from his breakdown. How do they even manage to talk about something like this, and people don't research MK Ultra or anything to do with mind control? He just suddenly was talking about Pizzagate, and he was ranting about politics, and the next thing you know, he's ushered away to a mental institution, and he's got memory loss out of nowhere. You know, what is he at, 40 years old, late 30s? They just suddenly, boom, just like that? No. They brought him there for a reason. His programming was breaking. And if you study CIA Operation MK Ultra, you'll see that they've done these studies before to erase memory. They've done it on pets before. If you've ever, rats specifically, if you've ever seen, homeless people standing on the corner, guys that are just like ranting out of the top of their head. I'm not saying every single one of them. Obviously, there's just people out there that might have some problems, but a lot of people out there who are homeless are people who were brought into Project MK Ultra. You're giving them free drugs and LSD and all this stuff in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Okay, they were taking places, they did the experiments on them, then they ship them back out into the real world, and their brains are completely wiped clean. They don't know what's going on. And that's how a lot of these people end up homeless on the streets. They don't even know who they are. And they're ranting and raving about things, and people think they're insane. It's because they've been abused and victims of this. This is our government operating. Mad scientists is what they are. But they're satanic scientists, and they're sick. Beyond sick in the head. So let me read some of this article in regards to Kanye West's close friend Malik, who's a longtime friend and collaborator. He discussed the artist's continuing recovery at the Grammy Awards Sunday, revealing that West suffered memory loss during his prolonged period of erratic behavior. I've been to his house, sat down with him for about 6 or 7 hours, just walking through his health and recovery. His memory's coming back. Yeah, his memory's coming back, which is super good and just healing. Spending time with his family. It says West was hospitalized in Los Angeles later in 2016 for exhaustion after police received a call for help. Did you see how they always use this? Exhaustion, they use it to, as a cover, so people hear that and they go, oh, memory loss, exhaustion, they've lost their mind, they need to recuperate. Because they have to be reprogrammed. How many actors and how many musicians, people who make millions of dollars, all just happen to go through this? They all just happen to be exhausted. They can't plan their schedule. So that they have breaks in between their performances and all this stuff. It's because they're under mind control, and the programming snaps and the programming breaks. So sometimes they have to wipe the slate clean and reprogram them. That's what they did with Britney Spears. Her programming broke. They shipped her out to Vegas. They still wanted to mooch and milk money out of her. And that's what they did. Now she's not in the limelight anymore because she can't be trusted. I'm sure the same thing will happen with Kanye, where he might still be out there, he might still be performing, but he's not going to be as pushed as he was, because I don't think they can trust him. And you can see that he was having, some issues with breakdowns of his speeches and the way he was acting over the years. And they probably feel that he's a risk to them. And you can also see at the Grammys almost the anointing of a new rapper being pushed. This guy Chance the Rapper. Does it look familiar? Comes into the mainstream all of a sudden, starts praising God like Kanye West did when he arrived. That's part of the deception. They're talking about Satan for starters when they're talking about God, but they deceive people into thinking that they're good Christians, that they're following, God, and they're praising God, and they're honoring God. Same with Beyonce. And that's how they deceive people. That's how they get people to turn against the truth of what's really going on in this world, because they trust in these people. They're naive to think that they would be occultists or Satanists or anything along those lines. Now, we've seen MK Ultra hinted at in so many different movies where they wipe the slate clean. Total Recall, they do that. Men in Black, they have the weapon to wipe the brain clean or wipe the slate clean. This is all testing that's been going on since the 50s. We're, way, way past 1950 now. We're in 2017. So think about how much more sophisticated this MK Ultra has gotten. Of course, they pretend like they don't do it anymore. Everything that they're doing revolves around it. MK Ultra is an ultimate tool for them, because they create slaves. They create walking zombies to do their bidding for them. And they do MK Ultra in a way on us through the television set. It's not to the level that these guys go through, because they go through trauma-based mind control. Now, I know this feels really bad for Kanye, but keep in mind, a lot of these people are prostituted into the business at a young age. These Mickey Mouse kids like Britney Spears, they don't really have a choice at a young age. Their parents put them into it. Kanye West made sacrifices and wanted this and made this choice. And this is what he's getting. He's getting what happens when these people make that choice. Shia LaBeouf, another kid who was prostituted into Disney. Altman had his breakdown. There's many articles you can read out there that openly admit scientists, whatever you want to call these people, but sickos really, who talk about how you can wipe out memories at will through using certain drugs like LSD, certain testing, trauma. I mean, here's an article right here. We do not condone animal testing, especially this type where the animals are subjected to negative emotions. I did, however, find it important to write about given the fact that trauma-induced mind control experiments are happening to human beings on a daily basis. We've seen this with programs such as MK Ultra that I will elaborate on further in this article. This is why I wanted to bring awareness to the study, to bring more awareness on programs like MK Ultra. Researchers have discovered how to erase and then restore the lost memory in genetically modified rats with a single flash of light. Okay, does that sound familiar? That's like the Men in Black, like I just mentioned. The study was conducted by researchers from the University of California in San Diego and published in the journal Nature. This is the very first piece of public evidence that strengthening or weakening connections between neurons in the brain can influence particular memories. So this stuff is out there, and it's sick that people are actually testing this. This is okay. Funding, the University of California is going to this, and nobody's like, people homeless, starving, and dying, but we're giving, we're testing this stuff on rats because why? Why do you think? Because we're the rats now. I mean, we're the rats in the cage, really. We're in the maze, right? They're the ones who are doing all this stuff. They're doing testing on us all the time with the chemtrails and the poisons in our food. It goes on to say scientists observe chemical changes that are indicative of synaptic strengthening. They also demonstrate the ability to weaken their circuitry by stimulating the same nerves with a memory-erasing low-frequency train of optical pulses. After this, the rats subsequently no longer responded to the original nerve stimulation with fear, suggesting the pain association memory had been erased. This is trauma-based mind control. They can inflict pain on people, they can do sexual acts on these people, all sorts of tests, even ranging from something like locking someone in a room all night and blasting music to testing how that worked. This is the stuff that they've done to people. They've taken human beings as guinea pigs, especially during, whatever they call the hippie era, okay, where they would hand drugs out to people. They were the ones spreading the LSD out to the public. Our government was. Why do you think they were doing it? They were testing it on the masses as well as testing it behind closed doors and seeing what they can induce from the LSD. If they can wipe people's brains clean, if being on LSD was helpful to the control of the MK Ultra, to creating the splits and all that stuff. And it's still going on. It says scientists discovered they could reactivate lost memory by restimulating the same nerves with a memory foam forming high-frequency train of optical pulses. It's like Clockwork Orange. Have you ever seen Clockwork Orange, right? They're telling you in that what's going on. Right? He's tied up to the chair watching TV. They're holding his eyes completely open. This is what is going on. So MK Ultra and trauma-based mind control, which is a CIA operation, which, let me read just a few more things about it. The United States government even issued a national apology for the program while Bill Clinton was in office, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that programs like this continue to this day. Most programs within the military-industrial complex have zero oversight by Congress. Although the program began in the 50s, it was not until the 70s when the Freedom of Information Act uncovered thousands of documents that shed light on MK Ultra. So MK Ultra is out there, it's been out there, and all you have to see are these breakdowns, and it's constant in this industry, the music and acting industry, the entertainment industry, these quote-unquote exhaustion that they go through. It's a reprogramming period. Kanye snapped and it lost, or he lost it, and they had to reprogram him. That's what they're doing to him. That's why he's out of the spotlight. But it's probably highly unlikely that he comes back into the spotlight. And keep in mind, he's hanging around the most dangerous witches there possibly could be out in Los Angeles, the Kardashian clan, who are black magic occultists, who are Armenian Satanists, and extremely high-ranking witches. So what this news that came out, during the Grammys from a close friend of Kanye reveals to everyone is what a lot of people have been saying, that his breakdown, it was MK Ultra. Because this is the common theme that we see in the entertainment industry. And this just proves it, because his friend is even saying that he had memory loss. He suffered memory loss because they wiped him clean. We saw him with Donald Trump. He looked like a zombie, right? He met with Donald Trump. Looked like a complete zombie, just standing there, not acting like he would normally act, because they wiped the slate clean. So we'll see, but I would highly doubt that he gets pushed back to the mainstream after this breakdown that he's had. But people need to research MK Ultra. They need to realize that mind control is real. And we see it all the time in our society, because a lot of these people on television are under it. And a lot of these young kids that come through the system are put under it at a young age through trauma-induced mind control. sexual acts and torture. It's sick, but it's real. Remember, the brain is like a computer pad, especially when you're young and you're just gaining information from the things around you. They can manipulate a child, and that's why one of the reasons they focus on children so much is they practically, abuse them sexually and mentally and create these sex slaves for themselves because the abuse. These children don't even know what's going on. It's all that they know in this world. They get taken away from learning about God and all this stuff, and they become slaves to these elites. So mind control is real. Kanye West is pretty clear that they wiped the slate clean, which the government's been able to do for quite some time. They hint at it in all these movies, like I said before. No surprise there. Unbelievable, though, how people don't want to research this stuff when you can actually see that the CIA has been operating and doing this stuff, and people still call us crazy conspiracy theorists, right? Why are they doing it? Oh, for fun? Your tax money's going to it, by the way. You care about it now? I mean, it's unbelievable. It really, really is. All this stuff is in plain sight. All the evidence is there for you to look for yourself. But people are too prideful and dumbed down, and they don't want it. And it's really sad to see. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.